Here's the 30-second lesson on what legends know. Never practice nunchucks in a crowded room. Never eat chole before a road trip. Always take your shirt off before you iron it. Don't take a call near a swimming pool. And don't forget, saving is not investing. Legends don't just save, they invest in mutual funds. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
In the previous episode of Cut The Clutter, we had listed things that won't change, things that will stop, that means that will not move, and also things that might be reviewed or that might slow down under the new government, which will be a coalition government led by the BJP. So we had also promised you in that episode that today we'll talk about some likely picture of the new cabinet. Who might be come in, who might not come in, what might be the larger picture in terms of the balance of power and allocation of portfolios and demands of the allies. So first of all, before we get started, a health warning that this is not speculation. I am not speaking from inside knowledge. The only inside knowledge I have is history, because since 1998, India has been having genuine coalitions. What do I mean by genuine coalitions? These are coalitions in which there is a strong core party. The coalitions we had before that, VP Singh's coalition, 1990-1991, a short one. Chandrasekhar for a shorter period. Before that, a very short one of Charan Singh that I spoke about yesterday. So forget that one. That was too short-lived to even merit consideration. Later, Deve Gowda and Indra Kumar Gujral. All those coalitions did not have a strong core party. Somebody can turn around and say, no, but VP Singh's coalition had Janata Dal, 143 MPs, which is just 2 less than what the Congress party had in UPA 1. But you know what? That party itself, the Janata Dal itself was not cohesive because there were too many prime ministerial candidates there, too much ambition. We know Chandrasekhar, Devilal, who became Deputy Prime Minister, Chandrasekhar later became Prime Minister. So everybody wanted the top job in that party, and really VP Singh was not the head of the party. This coalition, however, in the history of India's coalitions, starting 1997-98 to now, in the history of coalitions, this one has the largest core party. The 240-seat number of the BJP so far is the largest for a core party in a coalition. Earlier, the largest was the Congress party in UPA 2 of 206. So the bargaining position is not so strong that they can ask for the moon. This is the knowledge going back to the earlier coalitions in India, coalition making and give and take that takes place in the formation of the cabinets, that I bring you whatever wisdom I can bring you or whatever insights I can bring you. This is not from inside knowledge. I have not consulted an astrologer who's given me a list of pulled out tarot cards. No, nothing of the sort, nor am I making a speculation. But you know what? The past in politics is always a guide to the future. Politics works exactly the opposite way to mutual funds. In mutual funds, you say past is not a guide to the future. In politics, past is always a guide to the future. It determines the future. So look at the picture now. So first of all, as we get started, please discount, I'm sorry to my friends in all TV channels, please discount all the speculation you're seeing on TV channels. It says, for example, I saw something that this party, maybe, was it JDU or was it TDP, demands defense, home, finance, etc., 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 or these ministries or that ministries. It looked like if you gave into all the demands of JDU, according to what I see on my TV screens all day, if you gave into all the demands of JDU and TDP, there will be nothing left. Remember, these are coalition partners with sub 20 seats in this coalition, and all the BJP needs after 240 is 32 more seats. And there is Shiv Sena, the Shinde Shiv Sena with 7 seats. There are other partners, NCP. There are other partners Apna Dal, etc. They all have one, two seats like that. So these add up to about 250 plus. So BJP just needs about 20 more seats after that. So the bargaining position of these parties, I mean, they can bargain. One of them can give the BJP some kind of flutter or flutters in the heart by saying, look, I'll support your government, but I will support it from outside. I will not join the cabinet. What that will do is that will make the BJP unstable. Remember that Vajpayee government, which looked very stable, the first Vajpayee government, or let me say the second Vajpayee government, the first one was just 13 days, that didn't look stable. But the second Vajpayee government, 98, 99, that looked very stable. That Vajpayee government had carried out the Pokhran 2 nuclear tests, and that fell in a vote of confidence by just one vote. So no new coalition, particularly one with a strong core, wants to be in a situation where somebody supports it from outside. To that extent, these parties have bargaining strength, but please don't exaggerate it just for the sake of a headline. So that's why our first takeaway is, as we look at the new cabinet, that it's most unlikely, almost impossible. The only reason I am not saying impossible is because, nothing is really impossible, but really, I would still say I can't see how any of the key CCS ministries, Cabinet Committee on Securities, that is Home, Finance, Defense, External Affairs, I don't see how any of these could go to any party but the BJP. In fact, the first UPA cabinet under the Congress party only had 145 seats. That's about 100 less than what the BJP has now, and they did not give any CCS position to any outsider, that is anybody other than those in the Congress party. And UPA 2, in any case, they had 106 seats, but remember 145 UPA 1 was almost 100 less than the BJP is right now. So in my view, impossible that you will see any coalition partner in the CCS. Also, I do not believe that either Nitish Kumar or Chandrababu Naidu are so delusional. They've been in politics for a long time. They've been chief ministers. One has been a chief minister, one has just become a chief minister, will be sworn in soon, been chief minister earlier. These are not teenagers who've just walked into a bar, right? They've been in this game for a very long time. They are not going to make any exaggerated demands of this kind. However, there will be demands. First of all, therefore, I will list for you the ministries which I think the BJP will not give away, will prefer not to give away. In some cases, it's almost impossible that they will part with these ministries to any of the allies, and I will give you the reasons why. First of all, education. Education is a subject very close to the BJP's heart, any party's heart, because education is also very ideological. So Congress party under the UPA did not give education to any other coalition partner. The BJP before that, the Vajpayee coalitions kept education, it used to be called HRD then, with itself. Dr. Murli Manohar Joshi, a leader of that seniority, had the HRD ministry, which is now called Education Ministry. Also to this is linked the question of textbooks and the entire cultural shift that the BJP and RSS have been working on bringing about. Impossible, as I see it, that they will part with this ministry. This will be too much of a compromise for them. The next ministry that I think they will find very hard to part with is agriculture. Now we've seen some stories that TDP wants agriculture. So I think some bargaining will go on, but agriculture means farmers are a very large constituency. Any farm policy changes affect votes across the country. There, neither Nitish's party nor Naidu's party, they have such a pan-national stake. Now, there is a precedent that goes in the other direction, which is that under UPA for 10 full years, Agriculture Ministry was with Sharad Pawar, who was an alliance partner. However, it's very difficult to see the BJP doing it, also because none of the parties right now in the mix, the coalition partners, have that kind of leverage, and none of them has an obvious candidate for agriculture ministry. NCP, it did not have that many MPs, but it had an obvious candidate for agriculture minister. And Sharad Pawar qualified to be agriculture minister in his own right. Today, there is no such competition. Again, a ministry which you might not think very much of, and we might think is not very powerful, parliamentary affairs. Very critical, particularly in a coalition environment, because you will have now bills. As I'd mentioned to you in yesterday's episode, it will become very tough now for the BJP to dump anything into money bills and have some other difficult amendments and changes passed in money bills. This parliament will be contentious. Every bill will be critical because a few people being absent, a few people cross-voting will always be a threat, because this will be a thin majority. In this situation, parliamentary affairs is not a portfolio that the BJP would give to anybody. Environment and forests. Environment and forests used to be an ATM ministry. It's also a critical area linked to industrial development, infrastructure building, etc. Once again, I can't see how the BJP will give it to anybody else, because in the past, there's also been trouble when some of the core party members had it, say under the UPA, but with the ally, the trouble has been larger. There have been allegations. Once again, I don't see the BJP giving it away to anybody, particularly as the other parties don't have an obvious candidate. Culture and tourism. Now, if they split culture and tourism, that's a possibility. They can give tourism to an alliance partner, but culture is central to what is essentially a BJP and RSS government. They will not give it to anybody else. Department of Northeast Affairs, donor as it's called. No. The BJP itself is so strong in the Northeast. They have so many things going on in the Northeast. They have state governments in the Northeast, and they also have other state governments, regional local parties, state governments in the Northeast who are aligned with them. They are not going to part with the culture ministry. Information and broadcasting, forget it. You know how seriously in the Modi system is the media is taken. They might look at journalists with contempt. At the same time, they know that controlling the message is very important for them. So they are not going to give I and B to anybody. Then finally, I come to two more ministries, which I think it will be almost impossible for BJP to give away to alliance partners. One is law and justice. You know how critical the government's equation with the judiciary is, judicial appointments of judges, dealing with the collegium. All the tamasha goes on all the time, 24/7 by 365 multiplied by 5. That is if a government lasts, presuming that the government lasts 5 years, which I think it will. So law and justice will not be given away to everybody. Similarly, because the message is so important, particularly in the Modi system, statistics and program implementation, it might sound like a harmless ministry to you, but I'll be very surprised if the BJP gives it to any of the alliance partners. Then let's look at what is left, because there is still quite a bit of gravy left on this train. So, Ministry of Highways. Now, highways has been one of the high points of the performance of the NDA government. The BJP government, which was technically an NDA government, last 10 years, will they now give it to an alliance partner? I think they'd prefer to keep it themselves. Alliance partners would want it, but once again, the question of an obvious candidate will come in. Once we finish this, I will also give you some kind of a tentative list of likely candidates from these alliance partners, people who will be looking for jobs and people who might at least notionally qualify for the cabinet jobs. I am not looking at MOS, etc. right now. So, highways and surface transport, very important. Nitin Gadkari's ministry in the outgoing two BJP governments. Telecom and IT, very important. Ashwini Vaishnav has had it with Rajiv Chandrasekhar as the deputy. Now, will the BJP part with this? There will be pressure. Somebody would want it. I will not be surprised that if the pressure becomes too much, this ministry is split. So, one keeps telecom, IT goes the other side. Maybe for all I know, TDP, because Chandrababu Naidu can rightly claim that he played a very critical role in building Hyderabad, Cyberabad, etc., that his party should get the IT ministry. That is a possibility. However, you know that the BJP has had a strong agenda there, amending the laws, bringing in many controls. Let us see how that plays out. This will be negotiated and this will remain negotiable. However, if the BJP parts with something, chances are that they will then split telecom and information and technology. Railways. Now, railways is a very interesting ministry because almost in any coalition government, railways has been with a coalition partner. And in a bit, I will give you a listing of the ministries that coalition partners have had. In the coalition governments we've had since 1998, but just give me a moment, I will come to that. Railways is a ministry that both big parties would want. JDU in particular, because parties from Bihar have always wanted railways. Will Mr. Modi give it to a minister from Bihar, given the fact that there is a background? The background is starting a train for this, starting a train for that. Railways are going through a massive and very complex modernization. Railways have already borrowed a lot of money. How will they handle it? We shall see. However, it looks like both Nitish Kumar and Chandrababu Naidu will demand one of the heavy infrastructure ministries. Surface transport was one, railways is second, which brings us to power. Now, power is again a key infrastructure ministry. R.K. Singh, who had the ministry, lost his election this time. Who will get this ministry? It's quite possible that BJP would like to give it to someone like Jyotiraditya Scindia because he's been holding civil aviation. He probably thinks he deserves a promotion. He's been a minister a long time, for 2 terms in the UPA also. He's got experience. And by the way, since we are talking about Jyotiraditya Scindia and the possibility of power ministry, in the UPA, he was also Minister of State for Power with independent charge. Highways and surface transport, telecom, railways, power and shipping. These are the key infrastructure ministries of which I suspect at least one the BJP will be made to part with. It's also more likely that it might go to TDP more than to JDU because it looks like it has more MPs qualified for this. Although you cannot rule out someone like Sanjay Jha from JDU, for example. So let's see what happens. But something the 2 big coalition partners will seek out of these ministries. Which brings me to commerce and industry. Actually, I made a mistake. I should have listed it among the ministries which I think the BJP will be very reluctant to part with. That's commerce and industry. Again, it's quite possible in a coalition environment, they might split this ministry. See what happens when you have a single party government. Sometimes, because you have so much flexibility, you actually give a lot of portfolios to one trusted minister. See, Piyush Goyal has had a bunch of assortment of portfolios. Ashwani Vaishnav, an assortment of portfolios from IT, telecom to railways, for example. Hardeep Puri, housing and urban affairs, petrochemicals, petroleum. In the past, he had a third ministry also, that is civil aviation. These things do not work when you have a genuine coalition because you then need portfolios to give to your coalition partners. Some of these ministries might be split. Commerce is very critical because commerce minister goes out and negotiates on your behalf with the world, particularly on foreign trade agreements, that is FTAs, and also with WTO, etc. So that is a sensitive thing. What are the other things the BJP could give away? Housing and urban affairs is the nodal ministry for building the Central Vista, which is really a top-of-the-mind project for Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Will he give it away? I don't know. So petrochemicals, again, housing and urban affairs, maybe it can be split in some ways, I don't know. Petrochemicals, no, the BJP will hang on to it. Coal and mines, MSMEs, textiles, rural development and panchayat affairs, civil aviation. Civil aviation is something that will remain negotiable, I think, going ahead. Also, it's not such an important ministry anymore because Air India has been privatized. Nevertheless, it's a ministry with some glamour. MSJE, that is Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. Food processing, Harsimrat Kaur Badal had it in the first BJP government, so it might go again to a coalition partner. Jal Shakti and rivers. Jal Shakti and rivers is something that could be given to a coalition partners, but there are some sensitivities there. For example, if you give it to TDP, then southern states have so many river water disputes amongst themselves. So let us see where it goes and what happens. Jal Shakti is also something that the BJP takes very seriously because their proposition to the voter is also Nal Se Jal, which is a work in progress. There are many other portfolios which go in any case naturally with the Prime Minister's office, so I'm not listing those separately. They are always non-negotiable. That's personal, postings and transfers, public grievances, atomic energy, space, etc., etc. They will remain with the Prime Minister. Again, among the negotiables, labor and employment, a tough one, because there are pending labor codes which Parliament had passed. Does the BJP now want to notify them and implement them? If they do, they might not be willing to give this ministry to a coalition partner. But if they have decided that now it's too controversial, why take this panga? We can postpone it for some time. Then they might be willing to give it to a coalition partner. Then there are ministries which are really ministries only in name, but they are cabinet portfolios. Heavy industry can go to a Shiv Sena partner because in the past, under Vajpayee government, heavy industries was usually given to a Shiv Sena person. I will come to that. It is not a consequential ministry, but might go to a partner. Fisheries, animal husbandry and dairying, youth affairs and sports, skill development and entrepreneurship, minority affairs, because now minority affairs will become at least a semi-serious ministry, because this will be a coalition. BJP doesn't have a majority, so they can't be taking the minority issue too lightly. And both Nitish Kumar as well as Chandrababu Naidu have minority voters to worry about. Then there is WCD, Women and Child Development, Tribal Affairs, Port, Shipping and Waterways, Science and Technology. This is generally all that's available on the buffet table as the new cabinet is constituted. I've told you already what is it which the coalition partners, the dishes or the casseroles that the coalition partners cannot touch. Anything beyond that is open for negotiations. Now, what is it that we learn from the past? The question that people will raise is, in response to my first statement that the CCS Cabinet Committee on Security will remain purely BJP, is that the earlier BJP coalitions had George Fernandes as defense minister. So why couldn't something like this happen now? It won't happen for the simple reason that there is no George Fernandes in the mix. George Fernandes was a leader of the same seniority as Vajpayee and Advani. They had worked together, they had gone to jail together, there was a lot of trust, and that is something which was an oddity. In fact, I can tell you, it is something that I've written about in the past, that one of the things that Vajpayee said while exchanging notes with his successors of UPA was an advice to them not to have an outsider ever in their Cabinet Committee on Security. And I think that will continue. George Fernandes was there in the Vajpayee era. Bala Yogi was Speaker. Now, Bala Yogi was from TDP. He was Speaker, and Speaker is a position for which we can see that both coalition partners are making a demand, and you can understand why, because Speaker plays a very crucial role in Parliament, particularly when the government of the day wants to push things through. Now, the speakers played a certain role in a certain way over the past 10 years when the BJP had a majority. Now, the BJP does not have a majority. And coalition partners, they think that if they could have a speaker who's at least neutral, they might be able to get a better balance in Parliament, which means they might be able to exercise better leverage in Parliament. Bala Yogi was a Dalit leader, died unfortunately in one of those helicopter crashes. His son, GM Harish, by the way, is now a newly elected MP from Telugu Desam Party and will remain a candidate for some position in the new ministry. Then Somnath Chatterjee under UPA was also a speaker from the opposition. So that is the argument that coalition partners will now make, that Vajpayee could have Bala Yogi as an outsider as speaker. Manmohan Singh, Sonia, could have Somnath Chatterjee as an outsider as speaker, so why can't we? Again, see the outsiders who've held key ministries in coalitions in the past. First of all, Vajpayee era coalitions. Nitish Kumar has had agriculture, surface transport, railways, maybe some others, but these are the key ministries. Ajit Singh, whose son now is an MP and a partner of the BJP, Jayant Chaudhary. Ajit Singh has had agriculture and civil aviation. Mamta Banerjee, yes, she was a member of Vajpayee's coalition and later UPA as well. Mamta Banerjee is at railways, coal and mines. Sharad Yadav, late Sharad Yadav, had civil aviation and labour from JDU. Again from alliance partners, from PMK, Shanmugam had food processing. Murasoli Maran had commerce and industry, a key ministry, right? Then DMK, Vajpayee had the experience of having both AIA-DMK and after AIDMK dumped him, then DMK as his partners, Suresh Prabhu, Manohar Joshi, Balasaheb Vikhe Patil and Anand Gite, all from the Shiv Sena had the heavy industry ministry. I told you earlier that heavy industry ministry has some kind of a watermark of the Shiv Sena. It's not that important a ministry. And once again, we can just marvel the process of coalition making in India. In 1998-99, in the first Vajpayee coalition, even Ramakrishna Hegde, a leader as tall as him, was a minister. He in fact held the commerce portfolio, and not to forget Naveen Patnaik with steel and mines portfolio. Again, important ministries, power. Suresh Prabhu had power. He had environment also for some time. SS Dhindsa, Sukhdev Singh Dhindsa from the Akali Dal, had Ministry of Mines. Then we come to UPA. UPA, Sharad Pawar, as I mentioned earlier, 10 years of agriculture. Raghuvansh Prasad Singh from RJD had rural development. In fact, Manrega was ruled out under him. Railways changed hands all the time. Mamta Banerjee, Lalu Prasad Yadav, Dinesh Trivedi, who came up with some reforms. In fact, an aside about Dinesh Trivedi, among the reforms he had proposed was a fare hike. And Mamta Banerjee didn't like it. So he could not even get that budget passed by Parliament. He was sacked overnight, replaced by another one from his party, Mukul Roy, who subsequently defected to the BJP, as did Dinesh Trivedi, by the way. So both railway ministers, short-term railway ministers from TMC, went away to the BJP subsequently. Mukul Roy then sought the House's approval to roll back the fare hikes in the same railway budget. And Mamta fired him overnight, replaced him with Mukul Roy, right? So many ministers. Then a congressman came in, Pawan Kumar Bansal. Farooq Abdullah was an alliance minister in that cabinet with renewable energy. Beni Prasad Verma of Samajwadi Party had steel. Ramvilas Paswan, chemicals and fertilizers. And you know what? I'll give you a very surprising name. You might have been surprised a little bit hearing that Ramakrishna Hegde was a member of a coalition government as a minister in 98-99 Vajpayee coalition. Under the first UPA coalition, one of the ministers holding the portfolio of labor and employment was none else than K. Chandrasekhar Rao, whose party later came to rule Telangana and who's just been defeated now. So KCR was a minister for labor and employment in the first UPA government. TR Balu of DMK had road transport. He also had shipping. Shibu Soren, the father of Hemant Soren, and the father-in-law of Kalpana Soren, had coal and mines. A. Raja from DMK had environment. Then telecom. Dayanidhi Maran had telecom earlier on. Praful Patel, these are all coalition partners, had civil aviation. Premchand Gupta from RJD had corporate affairs. So this gives you a trend of the kind of ministries portfolios that core parties are willing to share with their allies. Remember this, keep this data at the back of your mind, and then discount it with the fact that this time the core party has much larger numbers than any of the core parties in the past coalitions. So how much this core party needs to part with will be much less than Vajpayee 1, Vajpayee 2, UPA 1 and even UPA 2. Those are things that we have to remember. Now, I will read out a list of some probable. Sanjay Jha from JDU, he's been very close with Nitish Kumar. He's been very close with Nitish Kumar. He's been a minister in Bihar. He's been very prominent in parliament. He will be an obvious candidate. GM Harish from TDP, Bala Yogi's son, also Dalit, very much a candidate. Of course, JDU has Harivansh, who's right now Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha. Will he be moved into a cabinet position? I'm not so sure. JDU does not have a lot of other talent, but there is Rajiv Ranjan Singh, also popularly known as Lallan Singh, who's been the JDU party chief in the state. He will be a possibility. He's been elected from Mongher, and there will be some others from the Maharashtra allies of the BJP. Milind Deora is in Rajya Sabha. He's joined the Shiv Sena only lately. Somebody might say he's just come into the Shinde Shiv Sena. Why reward him now? He also is young now. He looks young, and he is young. But he's not that young in politics to the extent that he's been an MP in the past And he's also been a Minister of State in the past under UPA, so he has some experience. He will remain a candidate. Milind Devra, these will be the younger candidates, and also Pratap Rao Jadhav. These will be candidates from the Maharashtra alliance partners from the BJP. And you know what? When we are talking about candidates from Maharashtra, Praful Patel, been there, done that, has been in cabinet, full cabinet minister in the past in UPA. He will always remain a candidate, because I don't think the Maharashtra allies of the BJP have a more qualified candidate, and also there are concerns that the NCP faction, the Ajit Pawar faction, will now be getting impatient, because they have seen, even more than Shiv Sena, they have seen that the voters in Maharashtra only see Sharad Pawar's party as the real NCP. So it will be critical for the BJP to keep them all together. Deve Gowda's party might have just 2 seats, but one of those is a twice chief minister of Karnataka. They will want something, and they will not take anything less than a cabinet position. Is the BJP going to give a cabinet position to an ally which only has 2 seats? Let us see how that plays out. And one leader who's most likely to make it, that is Chirag Paswan, and thereby lies a story. And the story is that since 1998. In fact, you can go backwards. I can go backwards to the era of Deve Gowda, Indra Kumar Gujral, and so on and so forth. Ever since the coalition era came into India, it's been impossible to set up a coalition in India, or we haven't seen a coalition in India without a Paswan in it. In fact, the only time we did not have a Paswan in the Central Council of Ministers was when Ramvilas Paswan died in harness, and obviously Chirag at that point was too young to be inducted in his place, but it looks like it's going to be impossible to keep him out right now. Besides the fact that his party, LJP, has 5 seats, it's a Dalit vote that his party brings to the table that has made sure that the BJP has not suffered the same fate in Bihar as it did in neighboring Uttar Pradesh, where Mayawati's Dalit vote left her, and mostly it looks like went to SP and the Congress party. In Bihar, Paswan's party, LJP, has played a critical role in keeping the Dalit vote together and with the BJP. And this is the season of full-time politics, so this gives us one luxury, and that luxury is that sometimes we can give you an indication of what we might be talking about tomorrow. So unless something really significant happens by then, what we'll talk about tomorrow is how coalition governments have performed in India by way of economic development, growth, management of foreign policy, etc. Because the biggest headline of this election is that India is back to coalition era.